Okay, Power Slap 8 in the books, and the welterweight division is shaken up a bit. You have a new champ, Anthony Blackburn, um, defeats Muniz over the weekend in an amazing fight. If you saw the video I did about this fight, I loved it. It was back and forth, must see TV, two warriors. Um, I didn't actually make a prediction for this one, so I can't say that it went how I expected it or didn't expect it to. I think that everybody kind of thought that it was just going to be a war, back and forth war. I mean, these guys both have crazy chins. So, and that's exactly what it was. So it wasn't surprising to me. Um, but yeah, so Blackburn's the new champ. Um, and then, ironically, Jewel Scott also fought on this card, but he was on the early prelims, which they still haven't released. So, after doing some digging, I did find out that he did win. But from what I'm reading, it sounds like it had something to do with the DQ, which is not his fault. But at the same time, like, that's just not going to get it done as far as like a title shot goes. Not over Muniz, who just went to war and lost a close decision, in an exciting fight, 3-2. So, I mean, not 3-2 officially, but that's how I had it. But so, yeah, I mean, although it's not his fault to get a title shot, I mean, you really do need to be impressive, not just win. So it's unfortunate if it was like not his fault, or I don't know how bad it was, what kind of foul it was, or if that's even true, but that's what I've heard. Then it's going to be tough to give him a title shot over Muniz. So I actually think that you just immediately run this one back between Blackburn and Muniz. So that would handle those two. I think that once the rankings come back out, I think that they'll probably put Muniz as the number one contender. Obviously Blackburn the champion, and then Jewel Scott was at number one before this, and I think they drop him to number two to Blackburn's spot. So I think Blackburn goes from number two to the champ. Jewel Scott goes from number one down to number two, and then Muniz goes from being the champ to number one. I think that they keep KO Chris Thomas at 3. It's close. Like, it's tough, like, after 2 bad losses. But, I mean, he's a huge name. And they're both 2 amazing guys, like, amazing competitors. So, as bad as they were, both being KOs, like, it's still the 2 really good guys. So, I think they keep him at 3. And then they had, I think they keep Provost at 4 and Frost at 5. Those 2 actually have fought before, and Whalen knocked him out but stepped. So it went down as a DQ win for Provost. So I think that you keep them where they are. So what do you do for Jewel Scott? So what I hope that they do is they make Jewel Scott versus KO Chris, because I think not only do I just think that would be an absolute banger. I mean, they're both on the original road to the title, like, so they definitely have history being in the same division. Both highlight reel capability, entertaining, and they're both crazy to a certain degree. So I think that it would be a great matchup. I don't know that if I'm like KO Chris or his manager, I don't know that I'm taking that fight, or I don't know that that's like what I want, because Jewel's an animal, and Chris can't afford to lose again. He just can't. Not right now. I mean, like, they're not gonna like cut him, but be tough. It's gonna be tough if he loses 3 in a row from being the champ. So if I'm him, it's not exactly who I'm wanting on my contract or on my belt agreement. For him, if I'm him, I'd much rather go down and fight Provost or Frost, preferably Provost. Whalen is, I mean, he stepped on that one against Provost, but shit was nasty. He's been getting better each time, so I think he's dangerous. So if I'm Thomas, I'm trying to probably go up against Provost, but I hope that they make the Jewel Scott one just because I just want to see that. So yeah, it would be Muniz versus Blackburn in a rematch. Jewel Scott versus KO Chris. And then I think that you can do the rematch with Whalen and Provost because, who knows how that fight goes down if he doesn't step. Or if it's not called, I mean, that's a KO. But, I mean, it was a clear foul, and it was on the first lap, so we really didn't even get to see it. If they would make it before, thinking it was a good fight, then there's no reason not to make it now, thinking it's a good fight. And I think that that makes a lot of sense. So I want to be clear that I only know that Jewel Scott won. I don't know how he won for sure. It's just from the digging that I've done, but I believe Jewel Scott actually confirmed on his Instagram or Facebook that he won. So my logic as far as like matchmaking and stuff is really going off that being true about some sort of a DQ and not being, an impressive enough win to take the rematch away from Muniz. But this division is absolutely stacked. I love this division. It's one of my favorites. A lot of fan favorites in there and some banger matchups. I don't think you can really go wrong. Like, if you wanted to give somebody else a shot at Blackburn and run back Muniz versus KO Chris, that would be an amazing fight. You definitely can't do Chris versus Blackburn. That's out of the question. So if you wanted to give it to Jewel Scott, the title shot to Jewel Scott, you could, and then have Muniz rematch KO Chris, and then you could still do the Provost versus Frost rematch. I think that also makes a lot of sense. It's not what I hope they do, but it also makes perfect sense. So I would say it's probably one of those scenarios. And I think that, I think that when the updated rankings come out, it'll be obviously Blackburn champion, Muniz number 1, Jewel 2, KO is 3, Provost 4, Whalen 5. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. If you think anything different, or if you don't like anything, let me know. I appreciate the support. Just started making some content on Power Slap, and so yeah, thanks.